Okay guys, I'm gonna commandeer this video again. Here Dustin Johnson is on the Me and My Golf TV network, and he's talking about pitching and chipping. Now, for anybody who has followed me for any amount of time, you know I do not listen to teaching pros. I don't listen to YouTube teachers. I don't listen to teachers, period. I listen and look at the tour pros and see exactly what they're doing and then mold it into the 2-6 method. Okay, and that's why golfers all over the world are playing the best golf of their life. But anyway, so let's listen to Dustin, and we're going to hear what he's talking about how you don't take a big divot on pitching and chipping, and you try to hit with the bounce of the club. Okay, so here we go.
You watch any really good pitchers and around the greens, they really don't take a divot.
Yeah.
They just kind of bruise the grass. Maybe take a little bit of a divot, but not much. Unless you're trying to hit some kind of fancy shot.
Yeah, and that just helps with the consistency, especially for amateurs. It helps you, gives you a margin for error. We talk about it a lot, Pierce, just letting the sole of the club work across the ground.
Well, if you use the bounce correctly, you're not going to take a big divot.
Okay, so notice how Dustin talked about, again, if you're doing it right, you're going to hit with the bounce. Okay, so how do we hit with the bounce? What's the principles, or what's the method behind hitting the pitch or the chip shot with the bounce? Because we have to We have to make sure that our setup is right. Okay, now let's take a closer look at Dustin's setup. But now the first thing we're going to look at with this setup is how he's going to grip the club. Very important, because the hands are the only connection with the golf club. So we have to understand how he's going to grip the club. Now, if he was going to grip it traditionally, he wouldn't do this. He would just grip it on top right here and be done with it. But notice how he puts that club in the base of his fingers on the glove hand, and notice how the notice how the right hand kind of goes underneath a little bit. Okay, now again, he puts the golf club handle in the base of the fingers of his glove hand or his lead hand, and then what happens is he kind of leverages that right hand right there. You see, he kind of leverages a little bit right there. Okay, again, he's only hitting us about 40-50 yards. Okay, so he doesn't have a lot of leverage, but he does put leverage in his grip right there. Okay, now he's going to reset it again before he hits the ball. So there you go, he's going to reset it again. There's the leverage. See, there's the leverage right there. There's the leverage right there. Now let's go to the actual swing. Now, what's going to happen in the swing is, now obviously he's centered. Again, this is a 40 or 50 yard shot, so he's open to the target. I think he has, a lob wedge, but he's going to come into this lob wedge at about 64 degrees, and I think that's what they said, but that's not the point. The point is, how does Dustin get it done? Now, Dustin has an early wrist hinge, so he's going to lean that shaft forward, and he's going to hinge those wrists right off the ball. But that's okay, because you see, he still has width, he still has spacing. He still has enough space off the ball to where he can do that. He's not yanking it to the inside and hinging his wrist too early. He's doing it as he's maintaining space. So now as he maintains space with the early wrist hinge going back, now he can Now he can create width. Let me go back here, hold on just a second, guys. So now he can Now he can create width. Okay, now as he creates width here, if his body stays centered, as he goes back, let me just stop him here. As his body goes back, as he stays centered here, okay, he doesn't move off the ball. His torso stays centered. The torso's the area right above his belt buckle. That stays centered. The arms rotate up and around, even on chip shots, even on shorter shots. And it's definitely there on longer shots as well. But the torso stays centered. And what happens is, when the torso stays centered and the arms begin to move up and around, that creates what I call centered resistance, because he's staying centered. And when that happens, even on short chip shots and pitch shots, the backswing sets itself. Dustin's not thinking about where his arms, wrists, shoulders are right now. He knows they're setting on their own if he doesn't twist and sway off the ball and get too much weight on his right side. So again, the backswing totally sets itself with centered resistance. So now, combined with the grip, combined with the leverage grip, combined with centered resistance, now you can do what? Now you can hit better. Now it's easier now to hit with the bounce of the club, because now you're just moving the bounce through the ball. So you're moving the bounce through the ball here. You see, right there, you're just moving the bounce through the ball because you're centered. Everything is set on the backswing, and now you can just move through the ball, keeping your head back. Now, notice how Dustin's head turns to the target. Okay, now Dustin said this earlier in the video. He says, now, I do this more on my wedges. My head turns more on the wedges. It doesn't do it on his driver and 3 woods and longer irons and short or on mid irons or whatever, because he says that he doesn't want the wedge to get stuck. Okay, he doesn't want to get stuck coming through the ball. So what happens is he kind of turns his head, but the head doesn't move forward. He just turns it. Now, how do we know the head doesn't move forward as he's turning it? You see the little brown spot or the black spot in the trees in the background? Well, right now, Dustin's head is where it needs to be, behind the ball, slightly behind the ball. So as he comes down through, even though his head turns and looks at the target, it doesn't come off, it doesn't move forward because it stays right on that brown spot or that black spot in the trees in the background. You see, even though it turns, it doesn't move forward. It still stays back because it's still right on that spot of the trees, that black spot on the trees in the background. Okay, that just helps him to get through the ball a little bit better. That's what he said with that. I don't do it, but in his mind, it allows him not to get stuck. Okay, so I hope this helps. This is and let's look at this swing in its entirety, and see how he just brushes the ground with the bounce. Okay,
Well, if you use the bounce
hope this helps.
correctly,
Talk to you soon.
You're not